Hey, it is March the 10th, 10 o'clock here in heaven. And I got a story for the boys. This again is out of True Stories of Children by Georgia C. Elliott, printed by the Church of God News print shop in Knoxville, Tennessee. And the story I'm going to read for you boys is called When the Fog Comes In. 10-year-old Charles lived on the Atlantic seacoast. His father was a fisherman and owned several good-sized fishing boats, and had men to help him about the fishing. In good weather, Charles often took a rowboat and went out alone on the water to fish. There were certain times of the year when it was not safe for him to go out far, even when someone went with him. As these seasons, the danger lay in the fogs. But on sunny days, it was usually safe. One sunny morning, while one of the larger boats was being loaded for a fishing trip, Charles took a small pail of bait and hopped into a small rowboat, and rowed out on the shining water to fish a while. It was very pleasant out on the calm, sparkling water, even if the fish didn't bite very well. Suddenly, a broad shadowed line appeared in the water at some distance ahead of him. A whole school of fish were coming straight toward his boat. Quietly, Charles dropped several baited hooks over the side of the boat, and made each line fast to its own little ring. Then he got the long-handled dip net ready for use. If those little fellows came close enough, he meant to have several dips at them, for they made fine fries. Soon he was busy with his short lines, and the shimmering fish came right around his boat. He could almost get them with his bare hands. Suddenly, a thick gray darkness settled down over him. The air became cold, and the sea looked like a sheet of lead, and the fish no longer shimmered. The fog had come in. Hastily, Charles drew in his lines and caught up the oars. Now, which way was the shore, and the wharf where the boats were tied up? While he fished, his back had been toward the shore. Carefully, he turned the boat and rowed contentedly and steadily in the direction he supposed the wharf to be. He could not see a boat length ahead of him because the fog was so thick. Then he noticed that the water about the boat had sheds of white foam on it. That white foam meant the water had dashed over the great rock, the rocks at the point. Boats were smashed there. Already he could feel the current tugging at the oars and the boat. He must get away from there at once. As he vainly tried to force the boat in another direction, one oar was jerked from his hand and floated away out of his reach. When he tried to use the other oar for steering, it also snapped from his hands and almost tossed him overboard. Helpless now, and at the mercy of the waves which were rising in great swells, Charles clung to the narrow seat in the middle of the boat and sobbed with fear. There was no way he could be saved now. Suddenly, he thought of praying. Surely he needed help now. No one could find him in this thick fog, and no one could save him from the rocks. He had been so busy trying to help himself all the time that he had not thought to pray. But now he earnestly prayed to be saved from death on those terrible rocks. He felt his boat tilt upward. The fog was so thick he could hardly see outside the boat. Then there was a long, sweeping rush forward, and his boat was carried completely over the first shoal of rocks and grated crunchingly on a sandy spot. As the boat stranded, Charles leaped out and clambered quickly up over the slippery rocks to a place of safety. His prayer was answered. He had been saved from death on the rocks. He had been delivered from the power of the sea. Charles never forgot that answered prayer. Whoa! That's a pretty good reminder to pray. I was at a church last weekend, or maybe it was the weekend before. I can't remember. I try to go to different churches. I go to lots of different ones, because they're all good in my book, as long as you got faith, and they're all evil too. They're all corrupt. But this one was Jesus is Lord in Kelowna, just off Highway 33, and they had a minister, a preacher, whatever you call him. I don't know, the guy that stands up front and talks. And he was awesome. He was dialed in. He was a very captivating speaker. And he said you should pray 3 times a day. And I don't know, that kind of parallels your eating, right? So some people eat 3 times a day if you're lucky, fortunate. So if you could pray at meals. But you could also pray right when you get up. One of the homeless guys that helped me out, helped clean the yard and helped clean the garage. Gave me $20. Well, I don't know if he gave me $20 or not. We'll see if he takes the car. But he always said he's got a little cross on his door wherever he sleeps, or something like that. And every time when he gets up, before he walks out that door, he does a prayer. So that's one you can do. You can do one when you get up, and then you probably eat once a day at least, hopefully. So you could do a prayer of gratitude for the food that you're eating. And then before you go to bed, it's probably another really good time to pray. And that'd be a real good time to pray for like all your wishes to come true, and like pray for like your absolute perfect dream. And that's where you can kind of get into like shaping your dreams and making reality happen. And if you pray hard enough and you pray right and you live right and you do right, I'm pretty sure the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, the Tao, the Chi, or maybe even magic, or maybe even aliens or Transformers. I don't really know who does it all. It's all a part of the creator, the creation, and it's all energy. But your prayers will be answered in due time. So, boys, I don't know if you're going to get to listen to this at night, but I'm going to try and get you up one of these every night so you can have a story while I'm away. And, yeah, I hope to see you by summer holidays. That's kind of the plan. COVID is starting to be done in Canada, like really done. Like you don't need to wear masks after midnight tonight. So no more masks in public places, which is, yeah. And you don't need the vaccine cards or passport vaccines after April the 8th. So that is very possible that I might be able to play a game of pool sometime. I don't know. It costs money, but who knows? Maybe by then the whole world will be different. But like I said, I think this is a direct result of the strongest army in the world, which is the Canadian Army. And I think it was 4 weeks ago when the truckers launched that protest, and that was the strongest army in the world. And I saw it when I went out to Kelowna. There were tears running down my eyes of joy just to see the Canadian people. And that's the strongest army of the world, because we are the real United Nations. And I'm telling you, our strengths are not military or missiles or long range, whatever the heck. That's old school strength. Like that's stupid strength. We'll build a robot and take out whoever thinks they're the strongest guy. You're never going to win a fight with force. But the strengths that we have are caring, kindness, empathy, acceptance for difference, and tolerance for others. That's Canada, the real UN. We ain't bought and paid for. Well, yeah, sure. China does make some pretty good deals with us and bought all our whatever our prime minister decides to sell them at the time. But the Canadian people, that's an army. And it's an army of love. I'm telling you, I met a Filipino lady the other day. Gave her I got a hug right when I walked out my gate, and she was wearing a blue and yellow ribbon. And I asked her, what's the ribbon about? And she said, I'm not taking a side for Ukraine or Russia, but she said it's just for peace. Like, what's with the missiles? What's with the bombs? What's with the bullets and the armies and the fighting? Like, it's for the displaced people. There's more displaced people, like people that don't have a home, don't have a country, have like no identity because of war, whatever else, or because of all the other things that are happening in the world right now. And these are people that need help. Like truly need help, but it's not just them that need help. The people that are doing the violence, they need help too, because they got some kind of pain in them, or something that's just not right, not sitting right. But I know my boys. I know you guys are doing the right thing. Keep doing the right thing. Keep learning. Show respect when it's earned. Well, give it to them first. Always give everybody respect right off the start, but don't give it to them blindly. You can use your eyes and judge for yourself if they need to have respect or not. But I miss you, boys. And that's a pretty good little story about, like, the power of miracles. And I hope you boys believe in miracles. Love ya. And you know what time it is? Go time. And you know when you're going to start? Right now. Welcome to the Church of Now. Boom! Shakalaka. Love you, boys.